It's been called the great American novel, right? A story about love, money, and the dark side of the American dream. But what actually goes down in The Great Gatsby? Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to walk you through the whole incredible story, from the champagne-soaked parties all the way to its tragic end. All right, let's get into it. So our story is told through the eyes of this guy, Nick Carraway. He's a young man who's moved from the Midwest to New York to get into the bond business. And the first thing he shares with us is this piece of advice from his father. It's super important because it sets him up as this reserved, non-judgmental observer, the perfect person to see all the crazy events that are about to happen. Okay, so the whole thing takes place in the summer of 1922 on Long Island, which Nick tells us is split into these two eggs. You've got West Egg, which is where Nick lives. This is the land of the new money, people who made their fortunes themselves, and maybe they're a little flashy about it. Then, right across the bay, you have East Egg. That's where the old, established, aristocratic families live. And believe me, this difference is everything. It's the central conflict of the book, new money versus old money. And living in fancy East Egg are Nick's cousin Daisy and her husband, Tom Buchanan. Now, Tom is a former college football star, he's fabulously wealthy, and he's a brute. Nick describes him as having a, quote, cruel body, which just perfectly captures his arrogant, aggressive, and domineering personality. He's basically the poster boy for careless, entitled old money. And this is his wife, Daisy Buchanan. She seems charming, beautiful, and her voice, Nick says, it's full of money. But right away, these first words she says to Nick, they give you a hint that something's not right. Underneath that bright, bubbly surface, she's actually deeply unhappy, trapped in this empty life and a loveless marriage. So one night, after this kind of tense dinner with the Buchanans, Nick comes home and sees a figure standing on the lawn of the massive mansion next to his little cottage. It's his neighbor, a Mr. Gatsby, and Nick just watches as this solitary guy stretches his arms out across the dark water, trembling, reaching for this single green light on the far shore. It's this powerful, mysterious image of just pure longing. So, who is this mysterious neighbor? I mean, he is the talk of New York. Every single weekend, he throws these gigantic, spectacular parties. Everyone who's anyone shows up to drink his free-flowing champagne. But the host himself? He's a total enigma. Nobody has a clue who he really is. Seriously, at his own parties, his guests just stand around trading these wild, crazy rumors. He killed a man. He was a German spy. He's related to the devil. The speculation is just off the charts, and it all helps build him into this almost mythical figure. No, Nick is one of the few people who actually gets a formal invitation to one of these parties. While he's there, he starts talking to a stranger, saying he hasn't even met the host yet, and the guy's response is just so simple. The Great Gatsby isn't some old tycoon. He's a young guy, about Nick's age, with this incredible, hopeful smile and a funny habit of calling everyone old sport. And here's where it all clicks into place. You have to understand, none of this is random. The huge mansion, the wild parties, the hydroplane, all the rumors, it's all part of a very deliberate, incredibly elaborate plan. And it's all focused on one single thing. And that one thing is Daisy. Yeah, it turns out 5 years ago, before he went off to war, a young, poor army officer named Jay Gatsby was madly in love with Daisy Faye. But while he was in Europe, she went and married the incredibly rich Tom Buchanan. Gatsby has spent every single day since then obsessed with one goal: get rich enough to win her back. And that green light, it's at the end of Daisy's dock. So after all that wealth and all those parties, Gatsby's entire plan comes down to Nick. He asks him to arrange a meeting. Not at his own palace, but at Nick's tiny cottage right next door. He wants it to seem casual, but he's so nervous, so terrified she won't even come. It just shows you how vulnerable he really is under all that flash. The reunion, at first, is just painfully awkward, but Nick leaves them alone for a bit, and when he comes back, the change in Gatsby is unbelievable. All that anxiety is just gone. It's replaced by this radiant, glowing happiness. I mean, his 5-year-long dream is finally, impossibly, standing right there in the room with him. So Gatsby takes Daisy on a tour of his mansion, this monument he built for her. At one point, he starts pulling out his expensive, custom-made shirts and just throwing them into a pile.
and Daisy, she just breaks down sobbing into them. Of course, she's not really crying about the shirts. She's crying because she's overwhelmed by the proof, this colorful, tangible proof of the wealth and the devoted love she gave up 5 years ago.
So, the affair is on, and Gatsby is convinced he can finally get what he wants. But to do that, he needs Daisy to tell Tom she's leaving him. And on one of the hottest, most suffocating days of the summer, Gatsby's dream is about to collide violently with cold, hard reality. The whole group gets together at the Buchanans' house, and the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Then Daisy looks right at Gatsby and says, "You look so cool," right there in front of Tom. It's a straight-up declaration of love, and Tom sees it. The secret is officially out. Tom, furious, suggests they all go into the city, and the whole thing comes to a head in this stifling suite at the Plaza Hotel. Gatsby, thinking he's already won, just forces the issue. He looks Tom in the eye and tells him, "Your wife has never loved you. She's only ever loved me." But here's the problem. Gatsby's dream isn't just about the future, it's about rewriting the past. He needs Daisy to say she never loved Tom, to erase those 5 years completely. And she can't do it. This is the moment it all shatters. When she admits she loved them both, Gatsby's perfect, idealized vision just evaporates. And the second Tom sees that crack in Gatsby's confidence, he pounces. He goes on the attack, exposing Gatsby's wealth for what it is. It's not from some old family inheritance. It's dirty money from illegal bootlegging and organized crime. And just like that, in front of Daisy, he turns Gatsby from a romantic hero into a common crook. Tom, feeling victorious, sends Daisy and Gatsby home together in Gatsby's car, basically saying, it's over. But the day's tragedy is just getting started. On the frantic drive back, a distraught Daisy is behind the wheel when Tom's mistress, Myrtle, suddenly runs out into the road. Daisy hits her, kills her, and just keeps driving. And Gatsby, without a second's hesitation, says he'll take the blame. That one horrific, violent moment seals everybody's fate. The beautiful dream that Gatsby had spent 5 years building, well, it's now completely and totally dead. That night, Gatsby stands guard outside Daisy's house, convinced he needs to protect her from Tom. He's still waiting for her to call him. But Nick knows the truth. Inside, Daisy and Tom are already reconciling, united by their mutual carelessness. As Nick so perfectly puts it, Gatsby is watching over nothing. The next day, Myrtle's husband, George, is overcome with grief. He's been led to believe that the driver of the car that killed his wife was also her lover. So he tracks the car to Gatsby's mansion, finds Gatsby floating in a swimming pool, and shoots him dead before killing himself. And this right here, this is the final pathetic truth of Gatsby's life. In death, he's totally abandoned. Daisy, the entire reason for his existence, she and Tom just disappear without even sending a flower. His business partner is too busy to come to the funeral. One guy who lived at his house calls, but only to ask about a pair of tennis shoes he left behind. For all his money and all those parties, he was utterly alone. Which leaves us with the book's breathtaking final lines. Gatsby's dream, like that green light, was always just beyond his grasp. He believed he could repeat the past, but of course, you can't. And in telling Gatsby's story, Fitzgerald suggests something profound about all of us, doesn't he? We're all these boats, fighting against the current, always struggling to move forward into the future, but constantly being pulled back into our own past.